Hi, I'm Ben, and I fly Glider 7, an LS-6C. I took a trip to Nephi, Utah, and had quite an adventure. Join me for one of my first flights there. This is one of my first climbs after getting off tow. I picked up a thermal over the city of Nephi, which you can see down there, and the thermal blew right into the ridge, into this bowl here, and just took me up like a rocket. What gorgeous scenery. I really didn't expect everything to be so green. I guess they must have gotten a lot of rain over the winter like we did in California.
Pretty good. Got a 7 climbing through 10-3. The southeast facing bowl on the ridge is working great.
My bank angle looks really extreme here, but I think that's an illusion from the fisheye lens on the camera. Here you can see me making a classic ridge to thermal transition. I'm doing figure eights on the ridge, and then once I get above the ridge top I start circling. And off I go above Mt Nebo. Here I'm running north, and on my left side is Spanish Fork and Provo. I've chosen a line that follows the high ground here. There's a bit of convergence marked by the clouds there. And now I'm going to turn northeast towards the Uinta Mountains. Here's where things start to get good. We're just approaching the Uinta Mountains. There's a great convergence line that goes all the way down the Uinta Mountains, and you can see these great looking clouds that were really working well. Up ahead you see a curtain of virga, and I'm going to have to punch through that. These mountains are just spectacular. The way the snow is streaked like it was painted on with a brush. Just beautiful. Here's that virga I was talking about. Once I got close to it, I could see that there were good clouds on the other side, so I punched right through it and there wasn't even any sink. Now the clouds are getting smaller and more spaced out, so I'm going to take some weaker climbs just to stay high and be safe. And you can see from this climb how much the wind has increased. Look how fast I'm blowing downwind. I think the wind was blowing about 25 knots here. And now I've decided to turn around and head back west over the Uintas again. The climbs are getting weaker by the minute, and I don't like the look of the sky ahead. I see a lot of haze and just disintegrating clouds. So I'm flying a little slower and trying to stay high. This stuff is no good, and at this point I'm thinking, uh-oh, it might be hard to get it back home. Here I catch a thermal pretty much in the same spot as I had previously found one. You can see it's tilted over a bit more, so the wind has increased. Now we're getting to a little bit better clouds, and ahead is that same curtain of virga I went through earlier. Here I think I'm trying to work some clouds that looked good but weren't. And I finally run into a strong one right here, and that was the last good climb that I get on the Uintas. Right now my safety airport is Roosevelt Municipal, which is down in the valley to the southeast. And let's freeze the frame here. You can see that my required E is 18 to 1 to reach the airport. And my current headwind is 27 knots. So I'm getting a little nervous about whether I can make it there. 18 to 1 is not much, but going into a 27 knot headwind, it's not guaranteed. So at this point I decide that I need to fall off the mountains and head toward the airport. This was maybe overly conservative, but again, this is my first time flying the area, and I don't know how landable this valley is. It looks like not very. I know that falling off the mountains likely means that I'm going to land out. The valley does not have a lot of clouds in it, and they don't look good, so I am getting ready to scratch, but I'm not too optimistic at this point. Unfortunately, at this point, my camera was misbehaving a bit, and I was too focused on scratching to bother with keeping it going. So there is no more video from here on out until the landing. I scratch around in this valley for a long time, never getting very high, and I'm getting closer to Roosevelt, and I'm thinking I'm going to land there. So I'm going to skip ahead from through some of the scratching, and we'll pick it up later. So after a lot of scratching and a few small climbs, I have managed to get Duchesne Airport and Glide, which is a bit closer to home. And there are a few wispies near Duchesne, and I finally find a decent climb here. And this is going to provide me with some more breathing room. I'm happy to be one airport closer to home, and this is a pretty long climb. It's going to take me up to about 15,000, and then I start getting a little more hopeful. So skipping ahead a bit, I've now climbed to 16,000 feet, and I'm selecting Spanish Fork Airport in my glide computer because I know that is in the same valley as Nephi, and it's going to at least be an easy retrieve from there, possibly even an aero retrieve. But the problem is it's behind a ridge, and I need to clear it. Right now the computer is showing that I am 2,000 feet below clearing the ridge, and this is where it gets interesting. I'm above 17,000 feet, and I'm flying into a 16 knot headwind, which is only going to get stronger, and I'm wondering how strong is it going to get. Fortunately, I was ballasted on this day, which is helping me penetrate the headwind. And here I'm trying to work the last few small clouds before I have to cross a blue gap that's over the lake ahead of me. And just beyond the lake there are a few good looking clouds, and I'm thinking if I could just reach those clouds, I'll have Spanish Fork made and maybe even get back to Nephi. So I'm feeling somewhat optimistic here. You can see that weak climb was blowing me downwind so fast that it wasn't worth it. I was losing ground on Spanish Fork, not gaining. And here I'm losing ground as well. Right now the computer is showing that I'm 1,700, 1,800, 1,900 feet above glide to Spanish Fork, but I'm only clearing the ridge by 300 feet. and there is absolutely nowhere to land beneath me. On the computer you can see to my northeast there's an airport, and that's called Thunder Ridge Airport, and that's kind of my alternate right now. If I don't clear the ridge, I'm going to have to fly downwind back to Thunder Ridge. I'm getting lower and lower, the headwind is slowly increasing, and I'm not flying directly to Spanish Fork because there are those clouds that I was talking about up here, but as soon as I got to them, they evaporated. I've frozen the frame here because this is my decision point. Computer says I have almost 2,000 over Spanish Fork, and there's no number above that, so it says that I'm going to clear the ridge. But I need 18 to 1 to make the airport, and I've got an 18 knot headwind, and I don't know the terrain here very well. In retrospect, there are passes on either side of this mountain that's in between Spanish Fork and me, but I didn't know that at the time, and I'm not sure that would have changed my decision, because if I didn't make it through those passes, there's just nowhere to land, and I would be totally screwed. On the other side of that mountain, there are farm fields before Spanish Fork, so maybe if you just squeaked through the pass or over the top of the ridge and you didn't make the airport, you could have landed in a field. But I am not confident enough in this area to make a squeaky final glide like that. I'm curious if there's any Nephi locals watching. Would you have gone for it? Would you have been confident enough to make it over that ridge into the wind instead of turning around? It'll be interesting to hear your opinions. Now I'm coming up on Thunder Ridge Airpark. It's right there in the middle of the screen on the side of that mountain. You can see how sloped that runway is, and the runway is really narrow, and you can see all these bushes alongside it. That's for sure a ground loop waiting to happen. This is a bush plane only territory, so it was easy to reject this as a landing option. I saw all these fields down here in this town called Fruitland, and so I'm cruising around inspecting all the various fields, and decided to land at this one in the middle. The dirt in this field was very soft, and I came to a stop really quickly. Fortunately, my gear doors stayed on, so I was happy with that. Here's my approach to the field. I chose this field because it was perfectly aligned with the wind, and the plowed furrows in the dirt were also perfectly aligned with the wind. I could see that this dirt road would provide easy access to the field, and we wouldn't have to drag the trailer across the dirt very far. The other fields in the area either had vegetation that looked too high or uneven, or the furrows in the dirt were not aligned with the wind, or they were circular. So I think this was definitely the best choice in the area. And it ended up being a great choice because the family that lived there were the nicest people, and they took great care of me until Philip arrived around midnight to retrieve me. Thanks, Philip. That was a heroic retrieve. Here's the full trace. 572 kilometers, 6 hours and 47 minutes. This was my longest flight of the season so far. I kind of wonder if I would have made it back to Nephi if I hadn't been so conservative. But at the end of the day, I landed safely with no damage to the glider, so it was a good flight, even though we got back to the hotel in Nephi at 3:30 a.m. I'm never happy with landing out, but this day was such an adventure that I don't regret it one bit. Thanks for watching. I'm going to be producing a lot more videos like this, so if you want to see more, subscribe to the channel.